it's Smitty. Going to go ahead and show you some of the improvements to the previous video to the build and show you some of the combat mechanics, which is just as important as having the right equipment. Okay, starting off, we want to go through our sources of healing. This is probably one of the most important parts. Now if we go with forward momentum, you can see it's critting at about 1.8k, about 65% of the time. So if we want to do that and then activate our Dragon Knight armor, which is this volatile armor, it enacts a passive which gives an additional 12% healing. So you activate that, like that. With the critical, you're sitting at about 2.1k on a crit, it's about 65% of the time. Now, if we want to go ahead and do that, our armor and our igneous shield, now we're critting at 2.6k. Now that only lasts for 5 seconds, but that gives you major mending, and that can be a real help if you're really low on your health. Now if we go back here, we are now critting at 5.4k on our ability Resolving Vigor. So it runs for 5 seconds. Technically you could be at full health in about 4. So that's a source of healing. Now let's see, we have a few live scorpions here. Okay, now we have no other sources of health. I'm going to pop a weapons power potion just to show you what kind of health we have. It's going for about 2.9 and critting for about 5.5, 5.4. All together, with Resolving Vigor, you can see just how much healing is involved. This is how I can do monsters and delves and that sort of thing. You know, my health bar usually doesn't lower hardly at all, but the reason being is because I've got all these heals going on. I've got heal from forward momentum, which the other morph for that is rally, and that's a really good healer too as well. So we're going to do that. Off the armor. And for the next 5 seconds, all of a sudden, now my heals are critting at 2.6. about 2.1 now, so that's a really good thing to have when you're in the battlefield. As you can see, 2.1, 2.1. This is all going on in the background at about 64% of the time. Now, earlier I was showing you how I was using these weapons here with a precise trait. Now, it's not a bad trait as far as traits go on a weapon, but I took a closer look at it using combat metrics, and the sharpened trait is actually a good bit better. Now in terms of healing, what does that mean? It means the more damage you do, the more healing you get back from these skills, which is kind of what I've designed this build around. So basically I went back to sharpen, and I've just decided to go ahead and use that. It does give me a little bit better performance and healing return to me. I was wrong about the added critical trait. In some ways it feels a little bit better, but it actually doesn't give you the damage that you really need. Okay, I guess the next thing we're going to go ahead and talk about is I'm going to go through and give you my rotation as far as the way I set up a fight and the way I go about it. I've changed a little bit on here. I use blood craze. I'll start out, usually use venomous claw, blood craze, and then I'll switch over to bloodthirst. And if I need extra healing, I can go to resolve and vigor, but I don't usually have to go there. I just, you know, between that, and forward momentum, I usually do pretty well. I don't need anything else. Now, I'll pop forward momentum, then I'll hit volatile armor, and then after that I'll hit igneous shield. Now, igneous shield is under the earthen heart tree, and if you go down to Mountain's Blessing, igneous shield will give you a 5% added damage bonus to you and your allies. Okay, that may not sound like a lot, but it actually does help, you know, as you go along. 5% on top of 5% on top of 5%, all your hits. Pretty soon, it really starts to make things go faster. Now, as far as the healing goes, you want to have volatile armor up. One of the reasons being is this passive here, increase healing received by 12%. So, I pop a weapon power potion. Okay, now I'm critting at about 1.8k. Do it again and use the volatile armor. I'm critting at 2.0k. Now, going back to the skills, you'll notice I hit this right after I hit the volatile armor. Now, igneous shield doesn't last that long. It lasts 7 seconds. Basically, what you can do is if you get into trouble, you can hit igneous shield and then vigor, and it'll actually give you major mending, which increases the healing done by 25%. So, say I hit an ignis shield. Okay, you can see my heals are critting for about 4.9. Volatile armor, then ignis shield. Now my heals are critting at 5.4, which is quite a bit. It will really heal you up in a fight if you need it. So typically what happens is when I get ready for a fight, this is my rotation. I hit forward momentum, volatile armor, ignis shield, then I switch, and now I'm ready to go. And popping a weapon power potion will increase my weapon critical to 64%. Now, doing all these things will really cause you to, it'll buff up your damage, and it'll increase your heals quite a bit. All the healing you receive from all the damage you do. Now, going back, one of the reasons, there's two reasons I can pop Ignis Shield, and that does give me about a 3k damage shield that stacks on top of everything else, which is nice for 7 seconds. I gotta be honest with you, it's not a lot. What is a lot is it enacts your added weapon damage for 5% for 20 seconds. And it just so happens that your volatile armor lasts about 20 seconds as well. Now when you're in a fight, you don't always know when your passive is started to run out, when your 5% is started to run out. So typically what you do is you go in, and these happen right at about the same time. So once your spikes go away, you know it's time to rebuff and go back and get everything that you need. Having all these buffs in place will really increase your damage and increase your healing as well. Now, I'll go ahead and show you a little bit in action what this build can do. It's a little different than what you might see out here most of the time, and it does go a lot quicker. Get the weapon power potion critical. So basically, sort of plan on being down here alone to show you all this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do it again on this guy now. Showing my DPS on a single target as being about 15k. If I do it right, do it perfectly, it can go as high as like 17k. That's a single target damage, so it really does do quite well, and your enemies this will pretty much not be a problem for you. Do this once again. There you can see how quickly that went. The idea is to get your damage over time started early in the game. Typically, I'll run Venomous Claw first, then hit Blood Craze, and then I'll get started on Bloodthirst. And usually keeping these two active will really reduce the enemy's damage over time and help things go much faster. So, well, I guess that's about it for enemies. Another thing I do Claw, and that starts to work, and then just run your Steel Tornado, and once you do that, it all goes quick. I guess that's all I can really say about this, just to show you some of the combat mechanics of it. You typically go in, forward momentum, volatile armor, and igneous shield. When you run out of volatile armor, you know that your igneous shield time, your minor brutality has about run out. So, no, I've heard this minor brutality is about 8%. I'm not absolutely sure that this 5% is correct, but it does seem to work a little bit better. So, basically that's about it. Here's my gas closure. See, it all went pretty quick. So anyway, that's about it as far as the rotation. In larger fights with tougher enemies, it's good to have these sorts of healing going. You've got your forward momentum, then your vigor, and then your bloodthirst and your blood craze. So I guess that's technically about 4 sources of healing going all at once. Now, blood craze actually works pretty well. I'll show you in a minute here what it actually gives you. It's going to be about crit really going on is I'm getting a bunch of heals back to me, and that's really the important thing in these fights. As long as you stay alive, basically you have the ability to really enhances all that, especially if you have the Shadow and the Thief. These two boons really enhance whatever you're doing out there. So I guess that's about it. The girl's gone now, so I can show you. It says my DPS is at 14k right now with that. It's been higher. It's been up to about 17k before. He knocked me down that time. That's about 15k. It all really depends on the situation. Sometimes they don't go for a knockdown hit, and that gives you a little more time to add a little more DPS to the equation. But you can see where this is going. DPS 22.4k, that's on a 3 target. That's not too bad. Now, I'm going to go into the champion points here as I change a few things around. Now, this isn't a real super professional. This probably isn't the ultimate and the way you would want to move your champion points around or anything, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close to where you might want to be. I put 93 into mighty, I put 35 into piercing, and 40 into precise strikes. Now the thing that I really changed was I put points into thaumaturge, and that helps your damage over time, and I wanted to kind of manage it out so that I had a little bit more, and as it turned out it was pretty effective in raising my damage over time. I think it went up to about my venomous claw. It's hitting for 8.3k, and it was at about 7.6, 8.3. So it actually does help your DPS on your damage over time abilities, which basically your dual wield is all, just about all damage over time abilities. So it definitely does help you, and the more damage that you do with this build, the more healing you get back. So going in here, bring my critical up to 64%. These abilities the whole time. Okay, we've got 15.2k. So as you can see, it all works out pretty well. that's probably one of the where you want to be at as far as using one of these builds. You just put your champion points as such to where they count. For instance, I've got 93 points. That extra, I'm going to say that extra 7%, 7.2 completion is actually going to give me 1.2%. It might actually be beneficial for me to take some more out of here and put them over here in a thermaturge. Now, say I took out maybe 8 points out of here. Another 8 points here would probably get me closer to 10%. So that's kind of where you want to be on that. You have to move around your champion points as you see fit, and you can test that out. Now, if I wanted to redo everything, I would come in here and spend a little money. Let's try 22.7. Raise this up. Okay, 9.5%. I still have 22.7%. This isn't far off. So let's go back in and see. Okay, I actually didn't get too many gains by doing that. It's possible I didn't do it this way. Didn't make a lot of difference. I might go back in. We'll try that. Test setters out here. And it seems to bear out. Now it's not a lot of difference, but as you can see, it did pretty well. I see you're sending me a message here, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video, and hope you enjoy this and it helps you. Thanks.